So this is a video review of the documentary Chasing the Championship, directed by Dave Baum, and it's a motorcycle film, which we don't get a lot of. Obviously it's a documentary, so it's not a fictional narrative, but still, films about motorcycles are fairly, especially the racing side of things, not really covered that well. We get things like Easy Rider and other sort of genre films about motorbikes, but not often about the racing. Whereas like car racing and Formula One is very well covered, and obviously there's some classic films in that genre. So Chasing the Championship is about a rider called Chrissy Rouse. Rossi Rouse. I think it said Rossi in the film, but it's spelled R-O-U-S-E. So I'm going to go Rouse or Rouse. And he's a young lad. And at the beginning of the film, we meet him talking about his championship. So it's kind of told in the past. And then we are then given the backstory as to his journey through motorcycle racing, becoming more enveloped in that world, pushing his own dreams to become a winner, and all the things that he faces during that time, whether it be physical injuries, which happen quite early on, like he dislocates his shoulder or breaks his shoulder and comes off, and whether he can ride again or whether he can be mended again in time. There's COVID that happens, and that delays all the racing and things like that, which actually ends up kind of helping him because he needs time to recover from his injuries. Then there's all the other stuff about like him being just from a normal background but trying to compete in a world where you do need a lot of money because racing is so expensive. Like his bike is like £30,000. He works as a part-time teacher, so trying to actually be involved in motorsport and actually do it properly is very difficult. Luckily he's very charismatic and he's very likable, and a lot of the people that he ropes in are either family or friends or people in the industry who just want to help him. They just seem to sort of gravitate towards his nature and what he's trying to achieve, and they volunteer their time and everything else to help him get there. So that side of things is really nice to see. It's a really sort of heartwarming element to the piece. The film then sort of takes on this sort of like chapter-like structure where he's going to different races and accumulating points, and he's going up against another person who is his sort of main competitor, and that's done quite well. Like we see the scores and how close it is, and how it actually does sort of each race becomes even more important in terms of whether or not he's going to win. And on the back burner of this is also about whether or not, if he crashes this bike, which he's had to pull in loads of favours in order to get this bike, that he's going to be massively in debt. So that's got a bit of a threat element there, parallel element there. In my review I did mention that I think the fact that his bodily injuries and the COVID pandemic and everything happened. I think you say COVID and you just want to cough, it's weird. That happens quite early on. And then the later part of the film really is just kind of a sort of fairly middle of the road sort of competition film, whether that's any kind of sport, the whole idea about working towards maybe like a final. So those elements I think do kind of peak early, and then we get the sort of, I'd say, less thrilling kind of championship race, but it still works really well. And I think that what will keep people watching is Chrissy. He's so likable, but also his team members as well. They're all really enjoyable to watch on screen. It's not like difficult to sort of hear more about the story and enjoy it and learn more about why they want to do that. There's lots of road lingo and motorbike lingo, which I didn't necessarily know all of it, but you kind of generally keep up pretty fine. And yeah, it's fairly short. It's less than an hour, so I think that it's the perfect length as well. You wouldn't want to drag this out anymore. And yeah, I just want to shout out to Dave Baum in terms of an editing point of view. It's really slick. The racing scenes and everything that's been cut together works really well, creates a really nice kind of collage of this world, and especially, as I said earlier in the review, that not many people maybe know much about motorbike racing. This is a good way to sort of see it through someone's young person's journey into it. And then obviously, yeah, fans of motorsport will surely enjoy it, but I think it's very accessible for people who don't know about motorsport, which is great as well. So yeah, it's an enjoyable film, and I think it's the sort of perfect viewing if you just wanted to get a glimpse of this. But really, the main attraction is Chrissy's journey and who he is as a character. So yeah, that's my review of Chasing the Championship.